And just like that, I am back. Happy Monday. Thank you for joining me tonight, right? So, as always, make sure you drop down in the chat and tell me hello. I like to go back and read when y'all tell me hello, okay? Makes me feel all warm and tingly inside. Because you know, when you was growing up, if you did not speak, your mama didn't play that. You had to speak when you enter into a home, right? So make sure y'all drop down in the chat and speak to me when y'all enter in, okay? And even if you come back and watch the replay, drop down in the chat and let me know that you watched the replay and what did you think about it, okay? So, as always, thank you for joining tonight. Thank you for watching the replay. Thank you just for inviting me into your home and make sure you share me with a friend, right? So, you already know this is what Journey with Dina. That would be me, right? And we have been on a journey together now for over a year, right? And so this journey started because I felt like the Lord was using me to be a blessing and to help other people, right? And helping me to help myself. So here, that's what we have, right? So last week, if you watched the podcast with me and Sean, then you know we talked about it matters who you marry. And then she went back and edited and said, does it? So the Lord keep on putting this conversation in me with every woman just about that I meet. Young, old, it doesn't matter, married or single, it doesn't matter. This conversation piece keeps coming back. And I'm like, Lord, what are you trying to say? What is going on? And I don't know the full story of it. I'm just gonna go as the Lord leads me, as always, right? So as I was doing my homework and my research today, and we still talking about it matters who you marry, but with a twist on it, right? So tonight we are going to be talking about it matters who you marry, but it starts with who you date. And you know, spring is around the corner. Everybody about to be outside, you know, doing different things. You know, people gonna be on the dating scene and going out. But listen, I want you to make sure that when you are getting ready and getting prepped to be outside this spring and summer, getting ready to be dating and if you in that season of your life, because what we all should be in that season by now, right? Because we have done the work, we have healed, we have grown, we have walked into purpose, we are where God wants us to be in his timing. And so many of us are ready to go outside and to date, right? But before you do that, I want to give you just some little nuggets that before you go outside and just start dating, because you know we going to the end result, which is a kingdom marriage, but there are some steps to that, right? We're gonna protect ourselves on our journey to that, right? And so marriage is a destiny decision, okay? But dating is the doorway to that, right? And so we have to be very, very, very intentional about how we date now, right? Because we don't want to go back because we didn't healed. We have grown. We don't want to go back into something else or with somebody else that's going to take us back to what we came out of. No, 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 no. We didn't work too hard to do that, right? So we're going to be intentional on what we're doing, right? And so it said that a lot of women don't ruin their lives at the altar. They ruin it when they say their first yes. Because how many times have you gave somebody your phone number or if you went out with somebody and you knew this ain't it? But because for whatever reason, maybe you were, I ain't gonna say lonely because that just sounds so bad. Maybe you were alone and you know you wanted companionship. You wanted to go out. So you was like, well, you know, I'm single and I'm available. Let's go and go out. Hmm. Was that such a good deal? Mm-mm. Because I'm gonna tell you, here I go tell y'all my business already. I'm gonna tell you about me, right? So back in the days, I would go out to eat, and you know what my saying was? If he treating, I'm eating. Cause if he go, you know, I'm a foodie. So if we going out, I'm gonna give me a meal, you know, whether it's go somewhere or not. Mm-mm. Not anymore. I can buy my own food and I can cook at home. Okay, not doing it anymore because I've learned that dating is the doorway This the first yes you say, and that yes can be expensive if you choose the wrong yes, right? So we're gonna make sure that we are dating intentional to get, on down through this journey that we've been traveling on, right? So we're gonna start one with the open pattern, right? Even conversations I've had, every conversation that I've had with women has been circling around dating and marriage. We don't talk about the first yes. And it's crazy because I had no intentions of going here, but here I am again talking about this, right? And so I met this young lady on this past weekend, and she sent me a message online to book an appointment to do her hair, right? And so she ended up still calling me. Let me stop and speak. Hey, Kimberly Winters. Hey, girl. Hey. Welcome to the journey tonight. Okay. Thank you for speaking to me, right? So, we're talking about tonight. It matters who you marry, but it starts with who you date. And so, like I was saying, this young girl, she sent me a message on the internet that she wanted to book an appointment, right? So then she ended up calling me and was saying that, hey, I wanted to get my hair pinned up because I'm going on a date tonight. And I want to look real pretty. Well, I'm going on a date, I think like 2 days after that. And I just want my hair pinned up into a little simple bun or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay. So instantly, while we was talking on the phone, I don't know why, but I know it was definitely God, that when she said that she was going on a date, in my mind and in my spirit, I can feel that we was going to have this conversation about it matters who you date, right? Because this how God operates. And this, listen, I'm in my lane, I'm in my purpose. I am trying to do what God has given me to do. And I understand that now. And I know that it is bigger than me, right? So as we were talking and she was saying that I already knew what it was gonna be. Okay. So get to the salon. She come in. She was very young. She was really sweet though. I mean, she was so sweet and excited to get her hair done. We talked, and she opened up the door because she said, I know that God has a purpose for me. I said, okay. And we started talking about what her purpose was and the things that she had gone through or whatever. And we talked about her date for that night. And we kind of talked about, that's when I opened up the door and said, it matters who you marry. And she was like, it absolutely does, because even if you date them and marry them, and who you have kids by, it affects your kids. It affects your relationships with your family. It is your spirits, because that is very important. And so we started talking about all these things, and she was telling me that she enjoyed the guy and that he was taking her on this nice day to this nice restaurant and all these good things. And so we talked about everything. I mean everything. And it was like I was talking to a girlfriend, and I had literally just met her. But that's the kind of God that we serve, right? And I know my mission, I know my ministry. So I knew that's what it was. And when we got through talking, she was like, I am so glad that I chose you from the online thing. She's like, I need somebody like you in my life to mentor me, to help me with this, because I know God has a bigger plan and purpose for my life. And I was like, wow. Just from meeting her and from her saying those things to me within an hour that we have met, it made me feel good to know that I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing. A lot of times, y'all may think it'd be cool and I come on here and talk, but a lot of times I be feeling like I don't want to do it. Is somebody listening? Is it helping somebody? As soon as I say I don't want to do it, somebody will call me and say, hey, you going live tonight. So I do this because I know this is a part of my purpose. I know it's a part of God's plan. And for me to be able to help, just if I can help one person, encourage one person, and give you what God has me to say, then my job is done, right? So when we talked about it, and she was like, well, yeah, she told me about how they met and his plans and her plans and stuff. And I was like, even though you are young, because she was like in her early 20s, I was like, it's the perfect time for you to start dating with intention. A lot of times we wait until we get older to settle down, and we just date for fun from like 20 to 30, and then when we hit 40, Now we're ready to be serious. Mm-mm. We don't have time. And I told her just like this. I said, because God is coming back real soon, right? So we got to get it together now. She was like, you sound just like my mother. She said, my mother would love you because that's all she tells me is God is coming back and I need to get it together and get it in order. And that is true. But I was glad I was able to stand in the gap and to reiterate to her the things that her mom was saying, and she could take that, from me. And so, even with that being said, and I was talking about how your first yes is expensive because a lot of time we see the red flags when we first meet somebody, and we still go on and say, "Well, yeah, you can have my phone number, or yeah, we can go out with you." And we know darn well that the flags was this kind of red. Yeah, it might look orange to y'all, but it's this kind of red, right? And we still go ahead and do it for various reasons, right? But now we're having to be more conscious about our yes, because that first yes, who you allow access to you, is very expensive, right? And so when you don't pay attention to that, it causes more pain going in it than coming out of it, right? Because for me, like I even had on there that your yes is expensive. Who you date not only shapes who you become, it affects your confidence, it influences your standards, whether that's good or bad. They're gonna either draw you or you're gonna draw them. Okay. And it can delay or accelerates your destiny. And it reveals what you believe about yourself, right? And it matters. And even before I came in here, I caught myself trying to watch this movie. And I thought I was gonna be able to finish it, but I didn't. But it's on pause, so y'all know we're gonna talk about that on the next episode, which probably gonna be on Wednesday, right? And so it was a movie called "Pushed Off the Plane and Survived." And so this woman is on there, and she went on a date with this guy. She was talking to her sister at home before she went on a date, and she was saying that she was tired of being alone. She was tired of not having a man to talk to, just tired of going through dates and nothing ever happening, right? So her and her sister, they put a bet out. And her sister's like, this probably gonna be just like the other man that you went out. So they betted $200 right there, we're gonna be right. So the sister went out, the other woman went on out on a date, right? And she was on a date with the guy, and he was texting his friends, and he was like, well, I'm texting my friend, we're talking about how the date going or whatever. She like, you texting your friends while we still on the date? Like, I expect for you to do that later, but not now. So she was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and go. He was like, what you mean you gonna go ahead and go? He was like, we only be here in 20 minutes. You know within 20 minutes that this ain't gonna work? She said, yes, I do. And we do know, just like men know, women know. We know in the first encounter if this is not the vibe or that we want or even needs in our life, because you see the signs. And she was like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go. But the man didn't want to let her go, right? So there's another man standing in the cut. Fine, handsome. I'm sure he smelled good because it looked like he smelled good. Was dressed to the T. He came over there and he was like, you need to let her hand go. So he was like the Prince Charming, right, standing in the wing. So the man ended up like, look, I ain't got time for y'all. So he ended up leaving, right? So now she's intrigued by this man that comes from the side. And she's like, okay. So they sat down and talked for a while. And then she asked him, can she take him to lunch? He was like, she said, well, I never do this, but can I take you to lunch? And he looked, he was like, sure. So they went out to lunch the next day. And they were sitting at the table, and she was just telling him all about herself. Now, mind you, she done went into a whole nother episode of herself, which really wasn't herself. She was just going on, she was high on her emotions and meeting this man, because how many times have we met somebody, we excited because we done met somebody, oh, this could be it. I got somebody to go out with, I can go on a date with. So your emotions kick in and you ain't really thinking straight. You thinking like out of your feelings and your emotions, right? So that's what she was doing. So she was giving him all her information, child, the businesses she had, the how long she been doing it, and just telling them all about herself while he just sitting there and observing, right? So he's like, well, I was a foster child. She was like, oh, I'm so sorry. He was like, no, it's not a problem. And you learn how to do this, that, and the other, whatever. So he told her that he likes to, for fun, jump out of planes. And she was like, nah, I don't never want to do that. Well, the next day now, I think it was the very next day, she ended up inviting him to her house. Now, mind you, she just met him. I'm just going to put these numbers up. She met him on Saturday. They went to lunch on Sunday. She invited him to her house on Monday. He was cooking for her. So in her mind, this is the dream. She's always waited on. This is just it. This is what I've been waiting on for this man. He fine. He cooking for me. He doing this and that. And he had her taste the food. And when she tasted the food, she said, oh, this is so good. He said, oh, it's from our family recipe. She said, family recipe? You said you grew up in a foster home. Then he looked, he said, well, I ain't say it was my family. Red flag. She ignored it because he was fine and he was cooking. And because she had been waiting so long. She ignored that. And so I haven't finished the movie yet, but one thing led to another. His stories kept conflicting. But because, oh, let me tell you this important part. So first, when it came back. So after that, she started getting close to him. So he ended up taking her to a plane and he made her. Now, she didn't volunteer. She told him no. But he pushed and made her jump out of the plane with him. Now, I understand being spontaneous. I understand kind of coming out your comfort zone, but some things is non-negotiable. He pushed her all out of her comfort zone, making her do these things that she didn't want to do. And because she was so in love, she did it for him. So once you right, Kim. He was investigating, and he didn't even have to do his homework, Kim. He didn't even have to do his homework. She gave him everything that he needed on a platter. Do you hear me? On a platter. So he just sitting back like, yeah, okay, yeah. She got some money. She desperate. She lonely. This is gonna be an easy one. So after she cooked, she put the same night that she cooked for him. What happened? They went in the other room and had sex. Then it's the third day. So her emotions already high. Now she goes into the other room and have sex with him. So once you have sex, that's why I would tell you. I'ma tell you, stay away from sex because sex plays with your emotions. Now you really ain't thinking straight. You thinking from your emotions, you feeling some type of way because now you done intertwine that soul tie. That's a whole nother conversation, but we're gonna get on that too, right? So now, oh, she head over heels in love with him now. So now they go to Vegas for the weekend. Now, man, he ain't went to work nowhere now time. They go to Vegas for the weekend, and he pulls a pamphlet off the dresser, and he said, "Let's get married." They just met Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and he said, "Let's get married." And I'm gonna tell y'all what they did. She got married and did. So now she got married to this man that she's known for 5 days. 5 days. And Kim, it wasn't hard for him to manipulate or control things because she was so in that space too. She's ready for this relationship. This is what she wants. This is what her sister been talking about. All the men that she have went on dates with and none of it worked out. Now here comes my Prince Charming. She asked no questions about him, none about his family or nothing. So when they get back, they tells her sister, who is her accountant, that they didn't got married. So the sister, she was like, I think it's time for you to meet him. And the sister was like, So they went out, the sister met him. They come back home. He was like, it was nice meeting you. And she was like, yeah, you too. But you could tell how she was that, this ain't it. But her sister was she was like, why you don't like him? She was like, it's just something about him. I don't know. It's something about him. Many times, other people can see what you don't see. Now, I'm not saying now a lot of times you have to pray about it because you got to land in and give it to them right, or is they're going to be just like her. Their guard's going to be up. They're not going to want to hear what you're saying because one, now their emotions at a high. They think they're in love, and now you got a problem with it. You want to sabotage it, or you just mad or for whatever reason. But you could be actually genuinely caring and can see something, or can send some a prayer about it, right? So she was like, I don't know. She was like, well, we'll just see. So now the sister, she's like, I don't know. She comes over to the house and she see the man that moved in. Now they only been together and married 5 days. She went downstairs where he was at. She was like, you sure have moved in fast. He done turned her sister had a empty room downstairs. He turned it into his workout room. Within now we working less than 10 days and turned it into a workout room, right? So they did all that. And she said, oh, that's your new car outside? They bought him a $86,000 car. I think it's a Porsche. In less than 10 days. Now, how many red flags have she to knock down and she don't want to see it because she was lonely and because she said yes to their very first date? And how expensive has that yes been? It's been very expensive. Not only with the $86,000 car that she bought him, with him moving in, and now listen, it's just so much that happened and so many red flags that she is not paying attention to, and he knows it. You don't even have to manipulate her very hard because she's just open and willing to give him whatever he wants just so she can have somebody. But guess what? We are not doing that. No, we're not. Because why? We are not going to let somebody just come in and push us back into a place that God has already brought us out of. We've already healed. We've already done the work. We are pursuing purpose and destiny. And we want the kingdom spouse that God has for us, not who we want because, oh, he look good. Okay? Because, baby, he needs to look more than good, right? So I just want to come on and to share those little things with you. As like I said, we finna get ready to get outside and people are finna start dating because what we are in that dating season because our season has shifted. We have waited well. So now I feel like God is putting us in another season and open us up to the person that he has for us, right? So that comes with being very intentional about who you say yes to. So the next time you meet somebody and they want to go out on a date, think about it before you say yes. Are they in alignment with me? Oh, here's the questions for you before you go on a date, right? The first question says, does he bring peace or confusion? Does he have emotional maturity? Does he have a spiritual alignment? Does he have capacity for a partnership? Because everybody don't have that. Does he honor your boundaries? Because that man did not honor her boundaries at all. Does he make you feel safe? He did not make her feel safe by forcing her to jump off of that plane. So be intentional about your dating. Because even though people think, oh, I'm just going on a date, it's way more, it's bigger than just going on a date. You're opening yourself up. You're giving access to somebody who God may or might not want you to give access to. So just ask God. He'll tell you whether you can go or not. And don't be mad if he say no because he can see what you can't see, right? I told you about that time that I went out with that guy and I ain't hear nothing else from him. And I said, God, what happened to this person? He was a good person. He had no kids. We could have went well. He said no. He was around somebody and it wasn't time. And I said, oh, okay. And even with that, I got my last 3 date with destiny questions, but let me give you this story right quick because I'm always say y'all, yeah, my business, right? So the other day I wore this shirt for the weekend called Single, Saved, and Satisfied, right? And I was telling this lady about I had went out to lunch with my friend and we were sitting at the bar area. And it was these 2 guys sitting on the side of us, right? And so the guy, he was talking to me, and my discernment was on 100. Lord, listen, the Lord and gave me, that's one of my things, Lord, sharpen my spirit of discernment. And so I sat there, I talked to him. You can be nice to people without, actually going there. So we actually talked, and we talked about our jobs, and the job that he was in is something that I used to do or whatever. And so he said, what's your status? Are you single? You in a situationship? You married? I said, I'm single, saved, and satisfied. He said, oh, girl, I like that. Say that again and pop your collar. So I said it again. He was like, that's right, because there ain't nothing like a peace of mind. I said, you are correct. I said, and because my peace is non-negotiable, okay? And he said before I got ready to leave, he was like, I already knew it was coming. But what was happening was, now I'm not the one to judge. If you like to drink, drink. If you might have casual drinking, social drinking, whatever, but I can tell this guy does more than casual drinking, right? And so he was, they was getting on their level. You can tell how their conversation was, him and his friend, right? But I ain't here to judge. I'm sitting at the bar drinking my water because that's what my friend wants to sit at. So the bartender was like, man, last time y'all was in here, y'all was so drunk, you were just wobbling. He was like, shh. I said, no, go ahead, bartender. Go ahead and tell it, because that's what I was waiting on. He was like, what you mean you was waiting on? Because I knew in my spirit that he was a drinker, not a sociable drinker. He was a drinker, right? So that don't fit with me. To each his own. But for me, that's a no. Mm-mm. I dated a guy a long, long time ago that was an alcoholic. I didn't know he was alcoholic. I knew he drank. But as the more of the signs came, he was a real alcoholic. And I said, I would never. That's so embarrassing, but to each his own. And so when a bartender was telling me, the bartender was like, y'all was twisted. And then he was sitting over here saying, shh, don't tell her that. I was like, go ahead, bartender, go ahead and tell me some more. I was waiting on it. He's like, what you mean you was waiting on it? I said, because I was just waiting on it. So then they was talking about how they go to Happy Mexican and all these other places that, they get the drink on. Yeah, that's what you do, but that's not for Dana. So when I got ready to leave, he was like, well, can I get your phone number? I was like, I got up, got my food. I said, I'm so sorry, but no, I can't do that. I can't allow you access to me, because either you're going to pull me that way, and I ain't no guarantee that I can pull you this way. So I'm just going to go ahead and, it was good talking to you. You enjoy your day. You have a good day. And I'll see you when I see you, okay? Because you can't have access to me at all. I have come too far to go backwards to something like that. And that is not what God gave me. Okay? So make sure that y'all are intentional on when you outside this summer going on that date. Don't just go because they ask you. Make sure that they are a good person to have access to you, okay? Because everybody can't have access to you in this season. And we talked about that, right? Protect yourself. Protect your boundaries. Don't go backwards. We only moving forward. Because before the end of this year, God's gonna show us while we were waiting, and we waited well, what He had in store for us, right? So until next time, continue to wait well, continue to use your alignments, discernment, and do what God tells you to do, okay? And I'm gonna keep my date with destiny questions. Oh no, I'm gonna go ahead and give it to you, right? These are my last 3 questions that you ask yourself, and you can drop down in the chat and put them in there if you want to, right? The first one is, does this connection pull me toward who I am becoming, or back into what I healed from? I just said that. Number 2 is, if nothing changed about him or her 6 months from now, would you still say yes to going out with them? And the last one says, do I feel peace in my spirit, or am I trying to talk myself into peace? Because when your spirit ain't right. I'd be like, something just about this ain't right. You ain't got to figure out or try to worry about what it is. Just go on with your first mind and say, what, I appreciate it, but no, I'm not going to be able to access denied until the next time.